morning and welcome to Coastal Living Down Under, Australia. So we're just going to do a little trial to see how we go at doing rainbow candles, but we're going to use the molds today. So all I've done is strung through the bottom and attached the wick through the top. If you check out one of my other videos, it'll explain how to do that, but it's very simple. You just need a needle, something like this, and you just do it like you would with sewing. You thread it through, you go through the center, bring it out the other side, tie a knot, and then you just snip this end and attach it with whatever you've got. I just use my laundry pegs, and that's how we're going to do that. And then we're going to use the fragrance. Now I'm using jasmine, honeysuckle, and Japanese honeysuckle and jasmine. Now I've got about 100 or so mils in there, and I want about a 10%. Throw a fragrance. So we're just going to put that in there, give that a mix through. Now my first color I'm going to use is going to be the clear. So I'm going to start with white in these candles. Okay, so we're just going to give it a good stir. Mix the fragrance in. Okay, and I'll put this one at the front just so you can see this one. I'm not going to use a lot of the white in the rose, and the reason for that is otherwise I won't be able to fit all the other colours in. We'll just put a little bit in there, the colour okay. And because this one has a lot of different petals, I'm just going to see if I can get it into the crevices around this flower, and you'll see why at the end. All right, so we'll leave that to set. Now these candles have a slit down one side. I'm not sure where this one is, but it has a split down the side so that I can get it out, and that's why I have the rubber band around it. That's so that the join where the cut is, so here is the cut for this one, that holds this portion together, stops the wax from coming out. All right, clear in here. Now the wax that I'm using is a different type of wax that you would use for containers. This wax will not stick to the side, and that's what you want. You don't want something to stick to the sides. How much have I got in there? I might just put a little bit extra in this one. Okay. All right, and then we're going to do different coloured layers. We're also going to be doing containers. I've got some lovely containers over here that my mum gave me, and we're going to do rainbows for that one. Now I'll just bring this container forward. I've pre-done the wicks in here. They're basically just balancing from this. Okay, and the other one I'm going to do a wooden wick. Now we've had some questions on one of the groups that I am a member of, Candle Making Australia for Beginners, about the tannins leaching out of the timber wicks. So there's really not a lot you can do about that. The wood will always come out if you've got a light coloured wax. It will still leach out into any coloured wax as well, but my suggestion would be to use these in darker colours. So if you're going to do a yellow, I'd probably suggest not to use these ones. But if you're going to use like blues, purples, reds, anything that can absorb and dull the brown leaching out, and then you won't get much discoloration at all. So we're going to do rainbow in these two. And I think I'll use 2 wicks, but because I don't have the little wick stands, I'm waiting for them to come in the mail. I'll be inserting my wicks after my first pour, once it's hard enough to set slightly, and then I'll insert them after that. That's a little hack that I've learnt. Okay, we're also going to try something here. I'm just going to move the camera over slightly. I'm going to use these round wood wicks, and I'm going to use the soap molds that I used in one of my soap tutorials. And we're going to see if we can make candles using that. So we're just going to, the wax is starting to set. It's not completely set yet, but it's starting to set. So we're just going to set those wicks in there now, like that. Okay, so we're just doing our AO5 wax, which is the cocoa soy, and we're just going to melt some of this down. Now, as I said, I haven't used this before, but it's a specific blend, blended to be creamy, easy to use for beginners. So we thought we'd give it a try. Okay, so that's how much I have in there at the moment, and that's going to melt down considerably once we get it melted. So I'm going to use it on this one and this one, the two candles over here in the back. And we're going to colour it. We're going to start with the purple. So judging by the size of those containers, I'm probably going to need a little bit more. Alright, but it's probably better to have less rather than more. So we'll leave it at that for now. We want to be able to have enough layers in here so we can also fit in green, which we couldn't do in my last video. Let's melt it now. The melt temperature for this one is quite a range, and we'll discuss that afterwards. Okay, so we've melted down the AO5 wax. The maximum temperature I got it to was 75, or just under 75 degrees Celsius, which is the top recommended heating point. So the heating point is 65 to 75 degrees. The pouring range is 45 to 65 degrees Celsius. It's got a melt point of 47.5 degrees Celsius. But what I found was the chunks that were in there didn't melt until I got up over 70. So I was still stirring and they were melting as we went. And we're going to do a 10% max load because they're going into containers. Okay, so if you have a look at how much you've got in there, you can roughly estimate how much there is. And base your estimate on how much you're going to pour in. Now, I'm using caramel fudge today. Okay. So the temperature is going to get less and less the more you add any additives in, so just bear that in mind. Give it a good stir. Now the best way for me to figure out the throw is to give it a stir and then have a good sniff once it's mixed in. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. This has got quite a good potency, this brand. It's one of my favourites, which is the All Australian Candle Supplies and Kits, and you get it at candlemaking.com.au. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that in. Now we're going to do purple. So I've got my purple liquid dye I'm putting in, and we're going to go for not too much. Let's just see what that comes out. So that was 4 drops. So again, we're just going to stir, get that to combine. Now you'll know that it's combined because when you look up the sides of the container, it won't have streaks of purple. It'll be a solid purple colour, like it is now. Okay, now your first colour will set the mood for the rest of your candles, because if you have it a very dark colour, then you'll need to make all your other colours very dark. If it's a very light colour, then you'll need to make all your other colours more light. Okay, so as I said, this one we're going to pour. Now the temperature we've got at the moment is about 63. So you have a look at your pouring range, and I've got 45 to 65 degrees. So at the moment I'm at 63, so it's come down quite a bit since we've added the colour and the fragrance. So you just Check your smells again, that's pretty good. Give it another swirl. I'd rather have it just slightly less because of the glass container. Now I have warmed the bases up. Okay. And you're going to pour and you have to bear in mind how many colours you're going to do in the one container, and that will determine how much you put in first. Because you want the base will, the very bottom will probably be slightly bigger than the rest. Okay. All right. So what have we got there? I think we need a little bit more on this one. Just enough to coat the wicks, which is what I've done there. This is a normal cup, teacup, coffee cup that Mum bought me. I'm going to use some of these as well. So we'll just have to do the wicks later, as we were going to do with the other. Shift that out of the way. And use the rest in this one. Look at that. Perfect. Now you'll need to clean between colours. You'll need to clean your vessel, this container that you're melting down in, out thoroughly so you don't get any mixed colours. And from this point on, you'll be doing the exact same steps that we've done over and over. So I'm not going to make a really long video that has each of those steps over and over. What I'll do is we'll just show you the colours as we go for each step, but just understand that we're doing the exact same process, the same temperatures, same pour in each colour.